Advisor to the head of the Ukrainian president's office, Mykhaylo Podolyak, stated that U.S.-provided military aid has started arriving on the front line, but that it will take weeks for the gradual increase in U.S.-provided military aid to reach critical volumes. Podolyak told Bloomberg that Russian forces currently have the absolute advantage in shells and missiles, and that Russian forces will continue to try to advance along the front line, presumably to take advantage of the time before U.S. military assistance arrives in sufficient quantities at the front. This situation could allow Russia to reconstitute and prepare for a renewed aggression against Ukraine. Sweden announced its 16th and largest military aid package to Ukraine worth 13.3 billion kronor, about $1.25 billion on May 29th. The Swedish Ministry of Defense reported that the package includes ASC-890 airborne surveillance and control aircraft and RMB-99 Amram medium-range air-to-air missiles, along with additional 155mm artillery ammunition and the entire Swedish stock of Panzer Bandvagn 302 armored vehicles. This aid aims to strengthen Ukrainian air defense capabilities and enhance their overall military effectiveness against Russian advances. Western officials are increasingly suggesting that they support Ukraine's right to use Western-provided weapons to strike military targets in Russia. French President Emmanuel Macron stated on May 28th that France supports Ukraine's use of French-provided weapons to strike Russian military sites from which Ukraine is attacked in Russian territory. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz echoed this sentiment, emphasizing that such actions are within the framework of international law. This support signals a significant shift in the West's stance on Ukraine's military operations against Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin appointed Russian presidential aide Alexei Dymon as Secretary of Russia's State Council on May 29th. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov stated that Dymon will resolve issues regarding the functions of the State Council, which coordinates domestic and foreign policy between Russia's various authorities. Dymon's appointment is seen as a move to bolster Russia's military efforts by enhancing coordination and improving the country's defense production capabilities, particularly in the face of ongoing conflicts and international sanctions. Russia blamed Ukraine for the recent several-month-long suspension of prisoner of war exchanges over the backdrop of reports of pervasive Russian abuses against Ukrainian prisoners of war. Russian Commissioner for Human Rights Tatyana Moskokova accused Ukraine of making far-fetched demands that caused a pause in prisoner of war exchanges and claimed that Russia has done its best to maintain dialogue with Ukraine and the International Committee of the Red Cross. These accusations come amid growing tensions and reports of severe mistreatment of prisoners of war by Russian forces. Russian President Vladimir Putin continues his efforts to prepare the Russian population for a protracted war effort. During a meeting on May 29th, Putin emphasized that all Russians must understand they are living through a unique and historical moment and must work as if they are on the front line. This rhetoric is likely aimed at boosting national morale and securing support for the ongoing conflict, as well as preparing the population for possible long-term military and economic mobilization. Belarus suspended its participation in the Cold War-era Conventional Armed Forces in Europe Treaty on May 28th. The Belarusian Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that Belarus would resume its implementation of the Conventional Armed Forces in Europe Treaty if NATO member countries also implement the treaty. Russia withdrew from the Conventional Armed Forces in Europe Treaty in 2023. And Belarus's suspension is seen as part of ongoing attempts to deter the West from providing military aid to Ukraine. This move has raised concerns about increased military tensions and the potential for further escalation in the region.